Good afternoon, good evening. It's Friday, everybody. Thank goodness for that. And this is the good news presented by the New Thought Media Network. And I'm Barbara Jean, and I'm delighted that you've joined us this evening. Before we get started on the good news, I'd like to take a moment of silence to reflect on what happened in that school shooting earlier this week, just to hold in consciousness the love, the peace, the joy that needs to fill the hearts and minds of everyone so that we might live in a more peaceful world. Please just take a moment of silence. Thank you. Well, and tonight, as we begin, we're starting by using some news from Sunny Skies. We generally use a lot from the Good News Network, and we're using both this evening. So today, I want to start with a wonderful, I don't know how many of you are busy cutting your grass all the time and racing around trying to keep it perfect, doing all that. Well, here is a new strategy. So, a homeowner was stunned by results after replacing traditional grass with this effortless plant. A home in East Anglia, England, recently shared an update in an online community dedicated to alternatives to traditional lawns. After purchasing his new home, he decided a section of the lawn with clover, embracing a more sustainable and low maintenance yard design. So, just a couple of months later, he shared the results, and the transformation is stunning. His new lawn is now a lush, vibrant carpet of bright green clover. And the best part, he no longer has to worry about constant mowing. Imagine that, nice and green and lush and beautiful, no mowing required. So that indeed is a wonderful alternative. So you might want to give it a try. And not only that, clover is very good for, bees and things like that. So this could be a really good thing. All right, moving on. Oceanographers explore underwater mountain bigger than Mount Olympus, and it's teeming with wonders. In fact, 900 miles off the coast of Chile in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, a scientific expedition recently found a plethora of wonders hidden under the waves. Clustered around several seamounts and underwater mountains, oceanographers at the Schmidt Ocean Institute discovered what are believed to be 20 new species, including a ghostly octopus and a sea urchin. And that octopus is kind of cute, I think. They also captured priceless pictures of rare squid and what appears to be the flying spaghetti monster, all hovering around a seamount taller than Mount Olympus. Across the three expedition, we managed to map and explore 25 seamounts, which is quite a number to explore. The Institute's executive director told CNN, I think we've got some good data as a community that could be put forward to make the case that this is a really interesting region for protection. I think that's important. Located on the Nazca Ridge, the seamount rises more than 10,000 feet or 3,000 meters from the seafloor, and it was there the Institute research team aboard the vessel Falker caught a glimpse of a blue and white octopus, which they nicknamed the Casper octopus. The Casper octopus has never been captured, so it doesn't actually have a scientific name as yet. Well, we'll just leave it as the Casper. I kind of like that. Casper octopus. There's a little ring to it. All right. So, children like to do their little lemonade stands and have kind of fun doing that. And my daughter did it when she was little and my boys when they were little. Well, here's a story that, well, none of those could actually compare to. So, country star Jelly Roll, whose real name is Jason Bradley DeFord, made a big impact on a young group of entrepreneurs in Salt Lake City. While passing through West Valley, he spotted a lemonade stand run by a group of kids and decided to stop and support their efforts. The kids were selling lemonade for 50 cents a cup, and when Jelly Roll offered ordered 5 drinks for everyone in his car, the total sum came to just $2.50. But instead of handling over a few dollars, the generous musician gave the children nearly $700 and told them to keep the change. Whoo! I'll bet those little kids were more than a little bit happy about that. Well, we're going to take a short little commercial break here, and then we'll be right back here on the New Thought Media Network with more good news. Don't go away. And more good news. So, this one started off a little bit scary. Anybody who's a parent would be terrified by this. A toddler gone missing in a 10-foot tall cornfield. Yeah, that's a little scary. A little 3-year-old wandered into a cornfield behind his house, determined to catch a kitty he had seen run between the stalks. For anyone who's enjoyed a late summer, early autumn corn maze, they'll know it's an easy micro environment to get lost in. And sure enough, the boy was in over his head within minutes. Deputies responded to calls from the child's parents in the town of Alto and Fond du Lac community in Wisconsin. And by 7:30, they still hadn't found him, 7:30 p.m., but suspected he was somewhere among the 100 acres of ears beside their house. Wow, that's a lot of corn. As the light faded away, all nearby homes and barns had been searched, and the deputies realized they had to comb the cornfield on foot. But fortunately, they had a special electric eye in the sky. A search and rescue drone from Pontiac Police Station Technology Response Group equipped with a thermal imaging camera. While officers entered calling out for the boy, the drone quickly spotted a thermal signature amongst the corn stalks at about 9:30. Drone operators radioed the detectives who could be guided to the boy's position. "We're right here, buddy. We're right here for you," first responders said as they got close to the boy. Oh, every parent's nightmare, right? He said he'd been chasing a cat. So a harmless thing, but it could have turned out really bad. But luckily, with these remarkable tools that have been invented, the little boy was found. Wow, what a beautiful story. And to know that there's people who go the extra mile to look after a toddler. Okay, so little kids sometimes do things that we as their parents wish they would not. Well, this was probably the biggest whoops of all. A 4-year-old shattered a Bronze Age jar in a museum. Ouch. I bet the parents had a moment of, "Oop, how am I going to pay for that?" Anyway, have you ever felt anxious in sympathy with a parent whose child just caused a catastrophic accident in a public place? Well, from Haifa, Israel, comes a story that will twist your insides just reading it. A 4-year-old who knocked over a Bronze Age vase that dates back 3,500 years. Father Alex Galler didn't see the vase crash on the floor, but he did hear the telltale sign of a ceramic object breaking as he was just ahead of his son and wife in the Hecht Museum. Turning around, he said he was completely in shock. My wife responded faster than me, he said. She grabbed our son to take him outside and calm him down and explain that it was not okay what had happened. My whole body and heart cringed for the poor parents, writes The Guardian's Isabel Oderberg, just one of the flurry of media outlets covering the story. I think if it had been me, I would have dug into the ground with my bare hands to live as a mole woman. I love that. Hide away. But the tale took a happy turn, as despite being told the vase was exceptionally rare, being that it was found intact and not in pieces, the museum officials responded with poise and gentleness, saying that the museum is not a mausoleum and is rather a living place, open to families and accessible. How lovely is that? Oh, I love that. In fact, the museum has stated it wants to use the incident as a teaching opportunity, and it specifically asked for Geller and, most importantly, his son to come back and see how staff will put it back together. The jar was most likely originally intended to be used to carry local supplies, such as wine and olive oil. It predates the time of the biblical King David and King Solomon and is characteristic of the Canaan region on the eastern Mediterranean coast. Whew! I'll bet the parents breathed a sigh of relief when they didn't get an invoice for that. All right. So, as we move along, this is a story of a penguin that is just, oh my gosh, it's just so sweet. I'll tell you, my penguin friend. Released to a delighted movie audience, my penguin friend tells the story of a man and his long lasting friendship with a Magellanic penguin. But before the silver screen bore witness to the tale, it arose first on the news in Brazil, where a retired stonemason discovered a penguin covered in oil from a recent spill in Provida Beach in Rio de Janeiro state. Taking the penguin home, he found the bird exhausted and depleted from his bout swimming through the oil spill. He nursed the penguin back to health with plenty of soapy scrubbing and fish treats, naming him Dim Dim after Din Dim after the toddler speak of his son trying to say the Portuguese word for penguin, which is pinguin, but when he was growing up. After Din Din recovered his pomp, he was released on an island near Provida Beach and went home, only to find that Dim Dim had followed him back and remained on his lawn waiting to be let inside. He finally left on his own accord, February 2012. What happened then and continued happening for years is an annual visit following the fishing season where penguins remain at sea for months, slurping squadrons of fish. Dim Dim would always come back to Provida to see this man rather than travel off to a lovely summer island with his kin. Aw, animals are truly remarkable, aren't they? That is fantastic. Well, speaking of remarkable animals, how about a cat burglar? Yes, yes, there's a town missing its clothes, and it's a four-pawed cat burglar who's pilfering their items. This is too funny. There are cat burglars and there are cat burglars. Taboo, a 12-year-old black and white resident of West Yorkshire in England, has stolen gloves, socks, underpants, and shoes from properties across the area. Her owner, Sandra Danskin, has now been forced to share regular pictures of the loot on social media so residents can reclaim their stolen items. But Danskin, who works night shifts, says Sneaky Taboo is rarely caught and has become a master of her criminal trade. Whenever I come home from my shift, there are all sorts of things waiting for me, either dragged in through the cat flap or left on the drive. Danskin told the British news media service SWNS, "This morning I had 4 pairs of socks and a pair of underpants." She loves bringing back items of clothing like that, but also we've had a mop head and kitchen rolls. So maybe if we train our cats, they could go out and do our shopping for us. just, just kidding, just kidding. But I think that's incredibly funny. And then trying to figure out who these things belong to would be another job of its own. I love it. All right. So, veterans. We know that war is a thing that, for whatever reason, we're kind of hooked on. And so there's a lot of veterans, and the pain when they're coming back is massive. So veterans find healing through horses. That doesn't surprise me. Horses are really very remarkable animals. At Middle Tennessee State University, a unique program veterans find healing and renewal by connecting them with horses. The Center for Equine Recovery, a partnership between the Veterans Recovery Center and the MTSU Horse Science, has made a profound impact on the lives of veterans since its inception in 2013. And the program works by teaching veterans about basic horse behavior and body language, offering therapeutic benefits that go beyond traditional methods. Through interactions with these sensitive animals, veterans are able to gain a better understanding of their own behavior and internal processes. Horses, known for their ability to mirror the emotions and physiological states of those around them, become a powerful tool for veterans to process their emotions. One veteran who suffered from severe PTSD shared how the program helped him recognize and manage his anxiety. Before participating in the SERVE program, he struggled with even simple tasks like walking to the end of his driveway to get the mail. His constant state of anxiety was so ingrained that he could not identify it. However, when he began working with a horse, he noticed the animal would become nervous when he was anxious. This instant biofeedback prompted him to calm himself, which in turn relaxed the horse. Over time, he learned to recognize the signs of anxiety and apply these relaxation techniques in other areas of his life. Joanne Parchetta is another veteran whose life has been transformed by the SERVE program. She joined the program in 2024 and quickly realized the profound impact it had on her mental and emotional well-being. I knew I know that you're not defined by chronic illness or physical disability, but it can demoralize you and cause you to give up. The class with horses showed me that I can still achieve and I can still dream. For Parchetta, working with the horses with her horse Penny became a lesson in patience and trust. Oh, I love that. That's amazing. She wasn't judgmental, but expected me to do my part with confidence, she shared. You have to work as a team with your horse emotionally and physically for it to work. When trusting in this amazing animal, it makes you trust in yourself and rediscover things in yourself you thought were lost. The healing power of a horse. I love it. I love it. Well, here's one of the sweetest stories you ever want to hear. A 94-year-old woman moved to tears by man's act of kindness on a flight. One man's selfless gesture on a flight to Washington has touched the hearts of many. A flight attendant recently shared this heartwarming story, and it's one that truly deserves to be told. As the flight was boarding, a frail 94-year-old woman struggled to find her seat. She appeared confused and had difficulty navigating the narrow aisle. The flight attendant noticed her struggle and was about to assist when a gentleman seated in first class caught her attention. With a kind smile, he asked, "Can you please get her and put her in my seat? I'll take hers." Without hesitation, the man stood up, pardon me, and accompanied the flight attendant to the back of the plane where the elderly woman was seated. When he offered his first class seat to her, she was overcome with emotion, kind of like I am right now. You know how I do that. And she says, "Never in my 94 years has someone done that for me." She gave him a big hug. "Thank you, young man." The simple gesture had a ripple effect on the entire flight. The flight attendant described how the mood on the plane shifted as passengers witnessed this man's thoughtful act. It was amazing how his thoughtful act changed the attitude of everyone on the flight. May we all look for the little things we can do to help others around us and show Christ-like acts of kindness in this crazy world. Let's all try to be the good. In a time when the world often feels overwhelming, this story is a lovely reminder that even the smallest acts of kindness can have a profound impact. His selflessness not only made a 94-year-old woman's day, but also left a lasting impression on everyone who witnessed it. And that is a fact. If there is a kindness you can offer today, I invite you, go ahead, do it. It will it will make a huge difference in your life and in the life of anyone you come in contact with. There's so much need in our world, and there's so many of us with the ability to offer a smile, a hug, or a hand up. All right, well, here's another remarkable story. Let me get my tissues ready. A teacher adopts his student, but it goes beyond that. In a heartwarming story that exemplifies the power of love and compassion, a teacher in Kentucky adopted one of his students and the boy's three siblings, giving them the forever family they had longed for. Justin Paget, a fifth grade teacher at Highland Elementary School, first met Jaden when the boy began struggling with his schoolwork. Determined to help, Justin spent extra time tutoring Jaden in reading and social studies. During one of the sessions, Jaden made a confession that would change both their lives. "I have to be adopted," the young boy told his teacher. Jaden explained that his current foster parents couldn't adopt him or his three siblings and that his birth family had lost their parental rights. Justin and his wife, Casey, had been praying for children, but had come to terms with the fact that it might not be in their future. However, they had already begun taking classes to prepare for fostering children, hoping to provide a loving home for those in need. Jaden's words struck a chord, and the Pagets felt called to take a leap of faith. The couple welcomed Jaden and his three siblings into their home, fostering them with the intention of adopting. On March 3rd, 2022, their dream became a reality when the adoption was made official and the Paget family grew from 2 to 6. Woo. Our lives are complete, Justin shared. We have left it all up to God to put us where we need to be at the right time. I feel fulfilled. Now, as a family of 6, the Pagets hope their story will inspire others to consider fostering or adopting children in need. They believe that every child deserves a loving home and a chance to thrive, and they're eager to spread that message to others. Now, that is a selfless act. I love that. I love that story. All right, moving right along. So a lot of stories and a lot of things have been talked about, climate change and the challenges with our forests and things that are going on. And well, we've got a great story out of Norway where the forests have more than tripled in 100 years. Over the course of the last 100 years, Norway forests have tripled in size. They have doubled in size in just the last 40 years, which the report claims is because of more CO2 and warmer temperatures in Norway than in previous decades. Published by Statistics Norway, the survey is the 11th national land forest inventory to be conducted in the country, which achieved full independence from Sweden in 1905. The news outlet that Norway was first nation state on earth to conduct such a survey that measured forests covered by cubic meters of tree trunks. Today, there are over 1 billion cubic meters, or about 1/30th the water volume of Lake Mead, whether that helps with perspective at all. The survey from Stats Norway shows that forest growth continued for the whole of the 20th and much of the 21st century, but has begun tapering off as spruce saplings planted by school children in the 1960s are now fully mature and beginning in some cases to die or be logged. We have also had very good growth conditions for the forest over the past 10 to 20 years. There have been higher temperatures and longer summers. One of the 47 million metric tons of CO2 that Norway released into the atmosphere last year, 18 million were taken up by the forests. But as much as the trees born in the 40s and 50s and 60s reach maturity, their efficiency at pulling the CO2 out will drop. Forests provide just about everything a modern 21st century society needs. They are fonts of raw materials, landscape engineers that keep the most nutrient dense soils from washing away into the sea, breeding grounds for biodiversity that can be harvested for food, pharmaceuticals, and more. And they offer the key in a human's mind to the door into our past when we lived wild lives and depended on the landscape for everything. As such, they are endless sources of recreation and, quite simply, the perfect tool for the management of stress during a time when our wild brains have to cope with the pressures of the modern world. There's nothing sweeter, more lovely, more beautiful than going into nature and taking a few minutes to simply relax, hug a tree, and enjoy the beautiful smells and sounds of nature. Well, that's the good news for this week, Friday, September the 6th. I hope something there has inspired you or excited you. I just know that this is an important program and all that we do matters. So be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and come back again next week at 3 p.m. Mountain Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Time to check out more good news. You're watching the New Thought Media Network. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And by the way, you can send a donation. ntmedia.org is, in fact, a charitable organization. So we're happy to have you here. We're happy to see you every week. And we'll be back again next week, same time, same channel. Have a wonderful weekend. Many blessings.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Spiritual Center, Kitchener, Om Center for Spiritual Living, La Mesa, Satya Center, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for making New Thought Media Network a place to be. Please come be you. And remember, like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.